Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This morning I had a great little morning hunt. I went out, got in a tree, enjoyed all the wildlife waking up, and ended up harvesting a really nice doe today. It was only my second deer so far with a bow. This is my first year, archery hunting, and I've already got 2 deer, so really stoked on that, and ended up coming back, processing it. So anyways, while I was up in that tree today, I was thinking about a lot of the parallels between hunting and fishing when it comes to being stealthy. Now, a lot of people don't really hold the same beliefs that I do when it comes to, making sure that I'm very quiet and just overall really stealthy when it comes to fishing. And yes, it's not as important when you're fishing to be ultra quiet and still and that sort of thing compared to hunting. Hunting, you have to be very quiet, very still, and wear camo to blend in with the environment. There's just no doubt about it. It's more important hunting. However, if you want to maximize your success, which a lot of the things that I preach on this channel aren't necessarily like hard set rules. Like, you can catch fish doing the opposite of what I tell you on this channel most of the time. However, if you want to maximize your success, that's kind of the things that I touch up on. And so I wanted to kind of discuss a few things that I do on the water to really maximize my opportunities to catch more fish, especially when you're dealing with high pressure situations like tournaments. The first thing that I kind of want to touch on, and I have some notes here on my iPad, it really has to do with noise. Okay, so noise is obviously very important factor. A lot of people don't realize sound actually travels through water more efficiently than it does through air. So fish can hear things a lot more clearly than you think that they can. And so I really try to do my best to eliminate or reduce as much noise as possible, and to not have any sharp contrasting sounds going on from my boat. So the very first thing that I want to point out is how to use your trolling motor and still remain stealthy. So like for situations like flipping and pitching where you're really close to cover and really close to those fish, it's really important not to have any really dramatic sounds under the water, obviously. But one of the ways that I combat, the need for being stealthy is I like to have my trolling motor, as far as the power setting, on a consistent, on a level where it can remain consistent and I don't have to constantly take my foot off of the button all the time. So having my trolling motor, usually on my motor guide, it's like at 3.5, maybe 4, that 4 mark. Your trolling motor may be completely different, but you got to find that right speed depending on how you're picking things apart, to be able to keep that trolling motor on constantly and not constantly just take your foot off that button, because the starting and stopping of that prop and the trolling motor really increases I think it really increases the fish's anxiety. But if you keep that trolling motor on consistently, I think that the fish in general, they just tend to get used to it as you're going on, because they can hear it from a long distance away. And if it's just consistently going, they may not be as apt to shut down, when you get to them. So like I said, if you're flipping like a line of reeds or something like that, don't put it on 6 or 7 or even higher than that and just, hit the trolling motor button a little bit at a time. Try to turn it all the way down and keep your foot on that button and just kind of slowly go along. That's something that I've learned to do over the years. Fishing in Florida, I felt like that was very important. Another thing that I do, down in Florida, now that I'm thinking about it, is really avoiding any type of grass or reeds. So like, I am very strategic. There's sometimes you can't avoid going through the grass and like hitting the Kissimmee grass or the reeds or something like that. But if you can avoid it 100%, like if you watch me fish, even if I'm in the middle of a grass flat, I'm really trying to weave in and out and find little openings where I can keep the trolling motor prop away from the grass. So those things are very, very important. But really, no matter what fisher you're on, you want to keep your trolling motor speed at a low speed on your dial that keeps you from having to constantly take your foot on and off that button. All right. So that's one of the first things. The next thing, and I just recently did a video about, how sonar noise really can impact your fishing potential. And that's something that I've been doing for a very, very long time, is making sure that I turn off the graphs that I'm not using. So if I'm, again, going flipping or something like that, it's a tough bite, I know that I'm not going to get a lot of opportunities, I definitely want to turn off my electronics. Sometimes I turn them all off, sometimes I only leave one on. So 2D on the bow, but then the console, I'll definitely put them in standby mode and just make sure that there's not that additional sonar clicking, noise in the water, to, tip the fish off. Okay. So paired with that trolling motor strategy I just talked about, that really can allow you to be very stealthy. The next thing that's really important, and this is something when I'm fishing a tournament, in the morning, I really try to discuss with my co-anglers and let them know, hey, listen, we're going to be flipping and pitching. I don't want to scare any of these fish. Please just be careful about, how you're walking around the boat and how you, close the lids. Please don't slam the lids. Now, my Phoenix really doesn't have that problem because it's kind of a tight seal with the carpet. So it's like, you can't really slam the lids all that easily, but it's still something that I need to point out to, people, because, people get excited and like, they tend to, slam the lids a little bit. And so that's something I discuss with the co-anglers. And I also make sure that I take care to not slam any lids too. So slamming lids, I think, is something that a lot of people do, but it's one of the worst things for fishing shallow. Now, if you're fishing deep, a lot of these things really don't matter all that much. But when you're fishing shallow and those fish are like 20, 30 feet from the boat, 100%, slamming your lids will reduce the amount of fish that you catch. I can pretty much guarantee that. Another thing, a lot of people are gonna, I know that there's gonna be a lot of comments about this, kind of arguing against it, but when I'm fishing, there's no music going through any type of stereo that is mounted on the boat. Okay, so if you have like a speaker that's on the carpet or something like that, that's not a direct line into the water. Like it's not going to create as much sound. But when you have a stereo that has speakers that are mounted on in the fiberglass, that is going to resonate into the water a lot more. And I just prefer not to do it. Now, I think of all these things that I just discussed, music is probably the least of your worries. I don't think that fish associate the sound of music to danger necessarily, because very few people play their music while they're fishing. I'm not telling you have to not play your music while you're fishing, but if you want to maximize your success, I think it does matter. Now, again, if you have a speakerphone that's like, or a speaker that's sitting on the carpet or something like that, I really don't think that it's going to affect the fishing that much. But anyways, it's just something that I tend to do. I don't like to listen to music while I'm fishing anyways, because I like to make sure to be able to hear everything that's going on. Like if a fish busts the surface, I want to know. So that's the bulk of what I wanted to talk about as far as like noise. Reducing the amount of noise that you put into the water, very, very important. Now, you know, you could be singing or talking really loud. Like if you've got a co-angler that's pretty much deaf, or a partner that's pretty much deaf, and he's talking really loud, I really don't think that affects the fish much. Again, it's not going through the hole much. You know, sounds that are above the water, okay, that don't translate through like a hole or something like that, aren't really going to translate into the water. They're not going to penetrate the water surface. They're more than likely going to be bouncing off. So talking, I don't think really does much at all. Now, if you're really talking loud, I mean, I don't know how you could fish that way personally, but I don't know if it's really going to affect things that much. And again, it's not like I'm you know, I'm an expert at what fish hear and what they don't, but when you're talking about highly pressured fish, you know, they start to associate normal fishing noises that happen in boats with, you know, danger. So you just want to eliminate all that you can. All right, so that's sound. So let's talk about one of the things that I think very few people think about, especially, you know, this is important when you're sight fishing. So when it's the springtime, you're trying to search for, you know, shallow fish that are either on the beds or just roaming around. One of the things that I think few people think about, they always just think about their sunglasses, but they never think about camouflaging themselves from those fish. And, you know, there's a lot of different camo patterns and stuff out there. I don't think most of them are very effective, because a lot of them are like, you know, water colored patterns, you know, of camo, you know. And I think that honestly, the best colors that you could wear when you're sight fishing are any type of color that matches the background, which is generally going to be blue, or a little bit of white maybe, and a little bit of gray. Like gray is a really good color to match the background, because the fish are looking up at you. And so matching what the sky looks like is something that I always do when I'm sight fishing. So something that has those whites or grays, maybe a little bit of blue, light blue, is exactly what I'm going to be wearing during sight fishing season. In fact, you know, obviously most of the time I'm wearing my jersey, but if I happen to go up shallow and start sight fishing, I'll take my jersey off and put a sun hoodie on, you know, something that does match that background, that sky background. And so that's one thing I'll do. Now, if I'm fishing like narrow creeks and stuff like that, and the background is like trees or something, maybe sometimes I carry some type of camo sun hoodie. You know, we've got some Sims sun hoodies that have got some camo on them. And so that's one thing that I'll do. But, you know, there's probably some guys that are laughing at me right now about this. But when you get on a fish, a really big fish, and they're very skittish, the last thing you want to do is like have, you know, some bright clothing that is very easy for those fish to see. I think that it just raises their anxiety level. And if you've fished sight fish enough, you know that anything that brings their anxiety level up could mean that those fish pull off the bed and they're just not in a mood to bite. So anyways, those are just some thoughts. Those are some things that I do. Now, whether or not, you know, these things actually in reality end up helping, I'm not 100% sure. Most of this is you know, just my own theories. But it's things that I have confidence in. When I go to those extra lengths to reduce the amount of noise, reduce the amount of movement in the boat, and also reduce the chances that the fish can see me, I have more confidence, and I feel like I catch more fish because of it. So anyways, guys, just to close this out, I think it's very important to be quiet and stealthy when you're fishing. Again, you can catch fish not being quiet or stealthy, but I think to maximize success, you got to do it. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. If you enjoy this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you would, and make sure you like, share, and comment in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to see you out on the water. Take care. Trust the process.